Good afternoon. So today we are doing Aseret hadibrot, dibra number 7. Lotin af. Lotin af, do not commit adultery. Lotin af, Rashi teaches us, is only with eshet ish, or any of the forbidden relationships that the Torah teaches us. Eshet ish, it means a woman that she's married, her husband is alive, they live together, and yet another man has a relationship with her. That is called lotin af. Hashem tells us not to commit sexual immorality and not let our children be among such people. Hashem brought the Mabul, the flood, as a punishment because of sexual immorality. The Torah lists 6 sexual crimes, incest. The punishment is by death. So the first one is incest between a son and his mother. Second one, number 2, incest between a man and his father's wife. Number 3, between a man, incest between a man and his daughter-in-law. Number 4, homosexuality. Number 4, bestiality. It means sexual intercourse between a human being and an animal. Adultery with a woman who is engaged to be married or a married woman. And there are 7 sexual crimes for which the death penalty is burning. So it depends on what the crime is. It could be skila, which is stoning, or burning, which I will explain soon. So burning is incest between a man and his wife's daughter. Number 2, incest between a man and his mother-in-law. Number 3, incest between a man and his mother's-in-law mother. Number 4, incest between a man and his father-in-law's mother. Number 5, incest between a man and his daughter. 6, between a man and his daughter's daughter. And number 7, incest between a man and his son's daughter. So if a man committed adultery with another man's wife or any of the list of those people that we listed, both of them get the punishments of death. So it could be a chenek, it could be sekila. Chenek means strangulation. Skila means stoning. Serefa means death. Serefa means burning. So the Beit Din, which was called the Sanhedrin Hagdola, it was made up of 71 judges, or the Sanhedrin Haktana, which was made up of 23 dayanim, 23 judges, which was a smaller court. So the Sanhedrin Hagdola is the highest court, and the Sanhedrin Haktana is the smallest court. So when they had to put someone to death, first of all, there had to be at least 2 witnesses. And they would drill these witnesses to make sure that these witnesses are actually saying the truth. And it's not a lie. These are not people who are just trying to harm this person. And so once they were drilled and it was found out that yes, this person did it, and they had warned him not to do it, and he still went ahead and did whatever sin that he was supposed to have done, right? So they would bring out the sinner to the public. Then the Beit Din would ask, is there anyone here among these people here standing here who know about a good deed that this sinner has done. And if yes, they would come forward, then they would judge again the person and see maybe it has something to do with the case that he's being judged on. Or maybe he himself has something good to say about himself. And then he had to admit to his sin, he had to say vidui, and he had to do teshuvah. Then he was given wine to get drunk, so that his senses would not be really clear, and for him not to have a clear mind. Then, pending of that's how the punishment started. And then the rest, like sekila, stoning, was done differently than strangulation, henek, or any other. There are 4 different punishment. So for sekila, the sinner was brought up to the 2nd floor. That's for stoning. It would be brought up from a 2nd floor building and pushed off the building. If he didn't die from this fall, then the witness would pick up, the witnesses, they had to pick up a stone, a heavy stone, right, each one, and throw it at the man, but aim it at the heart of the man. And if he still did not die, then other people would pick up rocks and throw it at the man until he died. The body, then, people were not allowed to abuse the body. Then the body, like in late afternoon, they would take the body, the officers of the court, they would take the body, hanging on a tree, and leave it there for a few minutes only until sunset. Once the sun had gone down, they would remove the body and bury the body. The body could not be up on the tree overnight. It had to be buried. The serifa, now for the burning, again, they would first make the sinner drink. For him to drink wine, so he became drunk and he would lose his senses. And then once drunk, they would make a hole in the ground, make him stand up to his knees in this hole, and then they would bend him down, and people would actually force his mouth open, officers of the court, and then they would pour hot lead down his throat. And that's what burnt all his inside, his intestines and whatever else is inside. There are 2 more types of death penalties that the Bedin would give out. Altogether is 4, so there's 2 more. One which is henek, strangulation. So they would take a long piece of cloth that would wrap it around the neck of the sinner. One officer would pull this way, another officer would pull that way until the man was strangulated. And the last one is hereg, which is literally just cutting off the head of the sinner. And here we learn all 5 commandments on the 2nd tablets were punishable by death. Actually, Shabbat is also punishable by death. Someone who chas v'shalom curses Hashem is also punishable by death. Ben sorer umore. The Torah teaches us about the child that is ben sorer umore, which actually we never have it never happened, but the Torah teaches us about it. I mean, for it to happen, the child had to be 12 years old, but not yet bar mitzvah. It had to be the child was a glutton. He would just eat nonstop, just eat nonstop. He would curse his parents. He would hit them. His behavior was just really more than horrible. So this person, this child is called Ben Sora More, and he would have had to be punished by the Bedin. But like I said, really, the Torah tells us it never happened. Never happened that there was such a child. That the parents actually had to go to the Bedin and tell them, this is what our son is doing. Okay? Chachamim teach us that obviously here, the Torah is telling us lutin af, right? And give us a list of forbidden marriages and forbidden relationships. But like anything else, Chachamim were here, and thank you to those Chachamim, because they help us with their laws. They help us actually protect us from doing the wrong things. So Chachamim have taught us, and apotropus la arayot. It means there isn't enough laws to protect us from chas v'shalom having the wrong kind of relationship. The best example really we have from David HaMelech. We know that David HaMelech had a few children from different wives. He had a son, Amnon, who was supposed to be the next king after David. And David had married another woman, and this woman already had a child, Tamar, before she married David HaMelech. And Amnon fell in love with Tamar. So one day he didn't know what to do anymore. He was really lovesick. And his cousin said to him, it's not a problem. Just make yourself sick. And the king is going to come in to see you. And while he's here to come to visit you, tell him you want Tamar to come and make some pancakes for you. So while she's here, take advantage. And that's exactly what he did. So he made himself sick. His father came to visit him. What's wrong? I'm not feeling well. And he was like, could you ask Tamar, please, to come and make me some pancakes? She knows how to make those pancakes, and I really like them very much. David HaMelech didn't see anything wrong with that, and so sure. So David sent his servant and said, go to Amnon, and he's not feeling well, make him some pancakes. So in her innocence, she went. As soon as she came in, Amnon told the servants who were in the house, I don't need you, you can leave the house. So he was left alone with her. She made the pancakes, he waited in bed, and once she came close to feed him, that's when he grabbed her and he abused her. It was horrible. This poor Tamar begged him, don't do this. Please don't do this. She begged and begged. And she said, look, you can even ask our father. She called David her father. You can ask him to marry me, because you're allowed to marry me. We are not real brothers and sisters. Please don't do this. She begged him, but he wouldn't listen. He abused her. Once he abused her, he hated her. And he threw her out of the house. She left, her life was destroyed. And unfortunately, this was a lot of pain for David HaMelech. And because of this, David HaMelech said, even brothers and sisters, once they are of a certain age, they may not be alone in the house. And that's why we have the laws from Chachamim not to have yichud. It means a married woman cannot be with a married man in the same place alone. It cannot be. And Chachamim, because of that, Chachamim have told us that's why we have to keep our distance. We should not, a woman should not go, or a man should not just go over and greet a woman and by shaking her hands or kissing her, even though it's just in greetings. No, because one thing leads to another. Before we know it, chas v'shalom, things can happen. Chachamim tell us that, and there are many laws regarding yichud, being in a place by oneself with a man or with a woman and she's already married. If such a thing happened and the child is born, now this child is called a mamzer. This mamzer, he may only marry a woman like him, mamzeret. So what usually happens is that this mamzer dies. So Hashem really does this so that it doesn't continue, because then it's going to be impossible to really keep track of things. And the same with a mamzeret. Or if they do go on and they're able to get married, they are still, they don't have children, or if they do have children, they all end up dying. So this was number 7, commandment number 7. Hashem should protect us from any of these, this Yetzer Hara, and that we should all live a life of Kedusha. And this year was said for a refuah shelema for Sarah, Nahid Sarah bat Iran, Avram ben Chana, Chaim, Rafael Chaim Meir ben Sima Chasha, and in the zechut of the limud that all singles should, Be'ezrat Hashem, soon build have the zechut of livnot bait ne'eman be'Yisrael. May Hashem bless us all in the zechut of this limud, and with bracha, hatzlacha, parnasa tova, nachat, shalom, shlom bait, zivugim, and chol tov.